of this forum will be very positive for all. Thank you.
Muchas gracias por tus comentarios.
Thank you for your comments.
To us this afternoon, and that was Honorable Arturo Bravo, Vice Minister for Tourism, Republic of Colombia.
Thank you. Please be seated. Your Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of Colombia, members of your esteemed delegation, cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries present, senior government officials, leaders of business membership organizations from our two countries, the captains of industry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to join you and my colleague, the Vice President of Colombia, at this afternoon's Business Summit, a unique event bringing together the policymakers, trade facilitators, the private sector of our two countries, with a view of fostering bilateral trade and investment relations between Kenya and Colombia. Permit me also to thank the organizers for putting together this event and the business community, particularly the Colombians, for traveling all the way to meet with us as government and their Kenyan counterparts. I'm certain this is the first among the many such forums that will be organized in advancing our economic ties. The government of Kenya appreciates and acknowledges the cordial relations that exist between the Republic of Kenya and the Republic of Colombia. We have today held very constructive bilateral talks with my counterpart with the aim of raising government-to-government engagements in the knowledge that such collaboration has been missing in the past. Allow me to appreciate the efforts of the leadership of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and the Bogota Chamber of Commerce, who in 2017 began exploring ways to promote private sector engagements to harness the business and investment potential between our two countries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya values partnerships that are mutually beneficial, born out of common ideals, which is why we are also proud to be part of a community with our neighbors, the East African Community, COMESA, African Continental Free Trade, upon our shared desire to achieve economic prosperity for our citizens. We need new and different approaches to partnerships that cuts across traditional barriers and geographical boundaries to thrive. This is because increasingly there is growing interest in the region as a single market by investors. We also take note of Colombia's leadership in sectors that are of mutual interest to both countries. These include technology-driven manufacturing, tourism, agro-processing, including coffee. This provides several opportunities for mutual exploration. We have significant opportunities for joint strategies to advance both Colombian and Kenyan coffee production, value addition, and market access. Both countries are renowned for their coffee production, and it is possible for investments in creating hybrid blends and packaging to be done in Kenyan export processing zones to take advantage of Kenya's preferential market access in several large coffee markets. This may be said of Colombia's access to the growing Caribbean market. We also take note of our two countries' investment in innovation and technological exchange. While Kenya's innovation culture is now a major driver for the domestic economy, we acknowledge that in Colombia, technology is also now a driver for your export performance. We invite Colombian technology companies to establish in Kenya as a route to market to the rest of the African continent. We have boundless capacity in the technology and innovation sector that would provide an excellent environment for Colombian investment. Your Excellency, we note that manufacturing is providing mutual opportunities for both countries. Kenya exports significant amounts of textiles to Colombia. Equally, Colombia's leading export to Kenya is equipment for food manufacturing. To deepen this mutually beneficial relationship, we invite Colombian companies to consider investing in our special economic zones for food production and textiles going forward. Our private sector will equally be keen to explore opportunities for investment in Colombia. Untapped opportunities exist in the blue economy, such as inland maritime transport, which can support and facilitate regional trade, alternative green energy from tidal waves, building and improving of the infrastructure that supports tourism and development of the business of sport, which has the potential to offer employment to thousands of youths across the region. Your Excellency, the possibilities for this relationship are boundless. Cooperation for SME development of manufactured products in chemicals and pharmaceuticals are examples of other areas of deeper cooperation that Kenya and Colombia can mutually invest in for further trade development. My remarks today will not be complete unless I speak another sector of mutual interest and immense possibility for cooperation. This is renewable energy. Both Kenya and Colombia have rich renewable energy resources. Kenya is a global leader in geothermal energy, while Colombia has significant potential in hydropower. We see great opportunities for knowledge exchange, technical cooperation, and investment in the renewable energy sector. Collaboration in this field can contribute to sustainable development, mitigate climate change, and enhance energy security for both our nations. As I conclude, we are also mindful of the fact that we need to take measures to improve the ease of trading between us. One such area is that of direct flights between Colombia and Kenya. It is estimated that flights between the two countries take close to 24 hours. A direct flight is estimated to take 6 hours and can significantly reduce the route to market and cost for both countries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya is open and safe for business and remains an ideal trade and investment destination. Equally, we are interested in opportunities in Colombia, and we see this as a beginning of a mutual benefit relationship. Finally, Your Excellency, I wish to affirm my commitment and that of the government of Kenya to work closely with Your Excellency and the government of Colombia on matters of mutual benefit to our two countries. Your Excellency, I now wish to invite you to come and make your remarks. Your Excellency.
Su Excelencia, Vicepresidente.
Your Excellency, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, good afternoon, as well as to the Minister of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Kuria. Greetings as well to the President of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Kenya, Mr. Gathia. Greetings as well to the members of the delegation of Colombia who are here with us, business leaders, men and women from Kenya and Colombia, chambers of commerce, and especially the Bogota Chamber of Commerce, which has worked enormously to help us put together such an important forum between Colombia and Kenya. As you rightly pointed out, Deputy Minister, the opportunities for commercial exchange between Colombia and Kenya are huge. We've already had a couple of experiences in trade. We have Colombian companies exporting to Kenya, especially in the food sector. And Kenya is a country that, therefore, little by little was able to know a bit more about the products that Colombia has to offer. But this is really just a small seed, something that's still quite limited. And of course, these encounters and South-South cooperation meetings should allow us to strengthen those trade relations in different sectors. For Colombia and for Kenya, a joint objective is, or shared objective rather, is food security and food sovereignty. We have a lot to share: science and technology for agricultural development, to develop food sovereignty, which is essential in both countries, as we both have citizens, especially boys and girls, who are still suffering from hunger. Trade should help us bring solution to human needs. If trade does not allow us to satisfy our needs and guarantee access to rights for humanity, then trade is failing. Secondly, as you mentioned, wish to strengthen these trade relationships through fair, balanced, equitable trade in order to allow for the distribution of wealth and capital and bridge the gaps. And this is part of our priorities. This is why we have many programs and projects that we wish to explore for trade, such as the development of scientific knowledge in health, in order to commercialize goods and services, guaranteeing the right to health as a fundamental right. This is and undoubtedly strengthening our economic and commercial relations should help us dignify labor rights of workers, be they men or women. This is why in Colombia we are pushing at the moment a labor reform in order to dignify the conditions of all workers, men and women, in our country. These are fundamental conditions that we require to truly put together within a commercial exchange between two sister nations that have a lot of history in common. Climate change has put forth huge challenges. In Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa are fundamental regions where work can be done to tackle these challenges. We know the experience of Kenya in terms of the production of clean energy, sustainable energy. This knowledge and this experience is fundamental to face the challenges that the Colombian government is looking at in terms of green energy transition and decarbonization. Together, we have decided to support the proposals of President Petro looking at foreign debt swap in exchange for climate action. This should help us accelerate the industrialization of clean and sustainable economies, economies that are put at the service of life. Tourism, as we well know, is a key sector. You're pioneers in sustainable tourism, community tourism. And I wish to acknowledge, and I had actually said that before, but I want to acknowledge the economic value that Kenya gives to sustainable tourism practices and green tourism practices, understanding that, for example, safaris are a wonderful way of finding out more about the practices, traditions, and current reality of the Kenyan people. And this is something that we should implement in Colombia too, considering that we're one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and that this experience of sustainable green community tourism is fundamental for the economic strengthening of both our nations. So I think most topics have been mentioned thus far, but this clearly will not be possible without strengthening international connections, which is why we have signed a memorandum of understanding in order to start working on a better airline connection between Kenya and Colombia. We've also proposed that to South Africa because we would like to make sure that Latin America is better connected with the African continent. No more isolation. The era of separation that lasted for so long needs to come to an end. We must be able to reach this continent and this country easily, and vice versa. Tourism is another topic, and if we wish to strengthen this collaboration in tourism, we must be connected so that Colombians can come here, discover all the beauty of this nation, and vice versa. That you may visit our country and all the beauty that we have been endowed with. But to this end, we must work together. And this is what we said this morning. And we must also, therefore, ease the visa process. We can hopefully one day reach an agreement whereby we mutually exempt our citizens from visas so that our citizens can freely travel from one country to another. So I just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to come to our motherland, the land of our ancestors. Thank you, sisters and brothers, for your generosity, the generosity with which you are hosting us here. We are full of emotion and happiness in our hearts because we know that what we have agreed on will be used to foster the well-being of both our nation. Long live Kenya and long live Colombia.
Let us all be. Thank you. Thank you so much, Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Colombia. We much appreciate the speech that you've made and the encouragement of the strong relationship between Colombia and Kenya. We much appreciate that. The table you are seeing being put in front